I am really excited to share with you something that I learned about just last week in Moodle called advanced grading. And what I am doing right off the bat here is I'm going to show you an assignment that I created and posted in Moodle. And it would probably be helpful for me to basically give you a quick explanation of it. This assignment is asking students to send a professional email to a teacher. And in this case, I'm the person that's going to receive the email. And right before they do this assignment, they've actually watched a little webcast or screencast, if you want to call it, that has taught them some of the important aspects of a professional email and how that's different than an exchange between two people in a social media setting. So that's the basic idea with what the student is going to do. Now keep in mind that this particular assignment just occurs in another technical venue, which is in email. And so I'm not actually collecting the responses in Moodle, but I am receiving emails from students, and then I'm going in to give them feedback. So what I found is advanced grading for this worked out really nicely to save me a lot of time and give better quality feedback to the students. So let's take a look. First of all, if I were setting up this assignment, I'm going to click on Edit Settings in my administration block to remind you, you've seen this page before, but if I'm going to use advanced grading, you go to the grade section and you go to grade marking, and there's three options. The default is simple direct grading, but I chose marking guide in this particular example, and we'll do rubric in a different video. So it's just a guide for assessing this particular assignment. So for you, if you do choose that, you'll be redirected to a page where you set up the marking guide. So after the fact, though, I can get back to my marking guide in my administrative block when I am on the assignment page. I click here where it says define the marking guide. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. So I needed to give my marking guide a name. I needed to give it a little description. And then I was able to add a guide, or let's call it criteria for each of the aspects of this assignment. So for example, one of the things I'm looking at is to make sure that the student included a subject line in their email. So I gave it the name, subject line, and then the description of what I'm expecting. And I could give a more detailed description if I wanted. The markers are the actual person's doing the grading. Since I'm doing the grading and I know exactly what I'm looking for, I didn't need to add more detail here. If I had a TA doing the grading, or if I had a student teacher or another teacher from a different classroom doing the grading, I might add more detail here. I didn't need to put anything in for the description for the markers. That's the person doing the grading. And then I assigned a number of points. For me, this was out of 5 points, and so each of these is a 1 point criteria, with the exception of the email body, where it was a little more descriptive, where students needed to use proper capitalization, punctuation, no spelling errors, a lot of detail and full sentences. The maximum mark for that was 2. So just so that you can see how did I build that guide, well, there was an add criterion option or button, and all that does is add another one of these, and then you just click on these to give the criteria a name. So for example, maybe I was going to ask that the students include an action plan. So I could give this an action plan title, and then I could in here say be sure to blah blah blah. That's what the students will see when they look at the marking guide. And then if you need to add more detail for the people doing the grading, you could add it there. And then you assign a number of points. And each criterion marking, if you add it together, should add up to whatever you defined the total grade to be. You can move these around in your guide, or you can delete them. If you want to move it up or down, you click on the arrow, and in this case, I'm going to delete this last one that I did and click yes. Now, another awesome thing is frequently used comments. So you don't have to type the same thing over and over again when there's very common mistakes that are made or very common feedback that you need to give the students. Again, I've created a bunch of these things. And if I needed to add more, I'd add frequently used comment. Now the last part is, do you want to show the marking guide to the students? You get to choose yes or no. And do you want to show the number of points per criterion in the marking guide? Those are all options. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go back to the assignment page to show you what this looks like when you grade students. So I'm going to go to view all submissions. And if I was going to give Tony Schwartz a grade for this, so let's say I just received an email from Tony, I can go into the grading window, and I actually found that it helps if I pull this, make a little bit wider like that. But so what I can do is I can give a score, and this is out of 1 for the subject line. And if I need to give Tony feedback on the subject line and I don't want to type that whole thing in, I might go down to my frequently used comments, and I could click on the plus sign. And as long as my cursor is in there, that comment is going to go in as well. Now, if I wanted to, I could put my cursor in there and I can add my own custom comments as well. So you can customize your feedback. And then at the very bottom, you can do general feedback if you feel like it. And then you can say save changes or save and show the next student. In this case, I do save changes. I'm going to cancel this because Tony didn't actually send me an email. So the neatest thing about this is that after you make your marking guide, you can publish it as a template, which means that if other teachers go in, they can use your marking guide. So if you as a grade level team or a content team are assessing students in a similar way for a type of assignment, and that marking guide has been made before, it can be reused for other assignments. You don't have to make it up every single time. So it can be shared within the Moodle system.